Tapping at my feet as I wait for time to pass, waiting for folks to show up. Got a bit of a hello, Razier. I'm glad you could make it. Welcome back to Control. Giza wants in the call, so give me a second. If Giza. Giza is now here.
Hello, I'm me.
Yeah, it is Giza, everybody's favorite friend.
Oh no, don't say that. What about Robin?
Yeah, Robin is one of my best friends, you're right. It's just that every time I have introduced you in the past, I've been like, it's everybody's favorite friend, Giza.
You have? I must have not been listening every single time.
I feel like I have. It feels like a thing that I would say. But yes, it's time to explore the mushroom dimension. The threshold of the mold.
Okay, but you have to be like, oh, why did it have to be mushrooms? I hate mushrooms. When you go into the mushroom dimension.
I do hate mushrooms.
I learned this from the Mario movie.
I do hate mushrooms.
Me too.
They're not good.
Why would you do that, though? Why would the Mario movie be like, let's make it so that Mario hates mushrooms?
As a funny joke.
If you wanted to make a funny joke, wouldn't you want to make a joke that's funny?
Yes, but also if you want like an actual serious answers, because it wants to put him more at odds with his family, who is like, we are all Italian, we like the mushroom on the spaghetti, and he's like, no, I don't want mushrooms on my spaghetti Alfredo. That's gross. And it's meant.
But why would they do that? Why would any of this?
I don't know why they've done it.
Okay, I know the why of it. The why of it is that
they needed to
Hogwarts is terrified of making anything that doesn't follow the hero's journey.
Yeah.
And so Mario can't be like a fun-loving guy who's like just a blue-collar worker who rises up to the challenge when it calls for it. He has to refuse the call. He has to be unsatisfied with his life. He can't just be a happy guy who's like, oh yeah, I'll save the princess if that's what's asked of me.
Well, they do present him as as that kind of guy. It's just that
no, they don't.
They do to a degree. He's a happy guy. I mean,
no, he spends his whole time complaining
and arguing. Time. He likes being in the catsuit.
I mean, eventually, I guess. That's mostly just played as a joke as well. I don't know.
Fair.
I mean, I'm not saying that Mario isn't funny and you can't play off the absurdity of it, but it feels like it's ashamed to be Mario, in the same way that superhero movies feel ashamed to be about characters called Captain Fantastic wearing spandex and
That's
fighting a Blorbotron, the Envourer.
that is something that I have never gotten the vibe of, so I am obligated to say I disagree. I get where you're coming from, but like I don't see it as being ashamed of being a superhero movie.
They always do a wink and a nudge at the camera, like, wouldn't it be silly? And they often sort of don't bother sort of referring to people by the superhero names because it's just, I know, there's just kind of that sort of vibe to it. But yeah,
I guess it works sometimes. Like controversial statement. When Spider-Man was introducing himself to Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange was like, "I'm Doctor Strange." Like, oh, we're using our superhero names. Okay, I'm Spider-Man. That's a funny joke to me, because Doctor Strange is a weird name to have. I think that is a joke that makes sense in character.
okay, that's a joke that makes sense in character. That's not really the same thing I was talking about.
Yeah, but everyone I know who isn't you has said that that's an example of them being ashamed of being a movie that it is.
I would have to disagree about Mario being the hero's journey incarnate. That is like a very specific story structure that involves stuff like, first the hero refuses the call, and I don't think Mario's ever been depicted refusing the call to adventure.
Yeah.
And like it involves there being a mental character that the hero has to sort of go learn from and eventually surpass. And I guess you could say that like in some games he has like a guide,
Yeah, like
but
Star
that's not really the same thing.
and
it's certainly not something that happened in the early days.
I will note, I like that the Mario movie centers the conflict around not saving the princess, but like, I'm gonna save my brother. My brother is kidnapped by accident. I liked that. I do like when they emphasize that the Mario brothers are the Mario brothers. They are good brothers, good friends. I liked that part of the movie a lot, personally. Also, I got
That's not the hero journey, though. That's like...
Yeah,
I mean, talking to Razia, the going out and going to danger, then returning home with no change to the status quo. I mean, well, for one thing...
I mean, there has to be a change of status quo. That's what the hero's journey means.
I mean, ultimately, no. It's kind of part of the whole thing that Campbell had for like the hero's journey is that they must rebel against the world as it is, but ultimately come to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So,
and then
in going through the journey, they become comfortable with their position in the world or something, because he thinks that the world is fundamentally as it should be, end of history bullshit, and that changing it is bad. And so but he also thinks that it is important for heroes to fight against it for some reason.
Don't forget the return part of it, where like they return to their normal place, but found that they have been changed. And also,
they have, but they still don't change the status quo.
Yeah, they don't change the status quo necessarily, but like the person has changed. Anyway, the Get Well balloon, altered item 58. Item must be kept away from animals. The cell must be regularly cleaned of the black substance the item produces. All cleaning tools must be redacted, along with the black substance itself. Item is a novelty balloon made of silver mylar. On its face is a colorful message to Get Well, surrounded by cartoon hearts. A ribbon is attached to the balloon. Item has not stopped floating after a considerable amount of time in the bureau, which suggests it does not hover through the use of helium. The item produces a dark-colored sticky substance which drips down its ribbon. Oh, that's horrifying and gross.
How so?
I don't like getting my hands sticky. I'm a baby. I don't like getting dirty. That's the way I came in. I need to find the TVs. I don't want to go down into the pink, because that's probably death.
I put my hands to my mouth a lot, so I actually do quite relate to not wanting my hands dirty.
Entirely understandable.
Also, it's just can be unpleasant from a sensory thing.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a sensory thing for me.
Yeah.
Where is televisions for this to be near? Hello, Enderlord, and hello, Robin. Yes, we are dealing with mold.
Robin!
We are in the mushroom
Also,
dimension.
Enderlord. Sorry, Enderlord, I'm not going to get as excited about you being here as I am with Robin on account of Robin being my girlfriend.
That's completely understandable. Hello to everybody who has decided to join. We are trying to find where the TVs are inside the mushroom dimension.
Normal things.
Yeah. I guess we'll go down into
Entirely
the
regular.
death pink. The pink mist of death. That's death. That's death. That's very death. Uh-oh.
Don't go into the death, Zodi.
I could not get back up.
She's always doing this, folks.
I like the blue shell paratrooper with the spikes from the Mario movie. I think
It felt very referential to me, just being like, hey, it's Mario Kart, and the thing about Mario Kart is everyone hates the blue shell, and I'm just like,
I think a Paper Mario game would have a character like him. But we're not going to get into it. We're not going to get into it. I know that's a thing that you can go on for like hours upon hours, and I can too. But let's cutting that off right now. Like, right, we should not talk about Paper Mario, because if we start, we will not stop.
fair enough. Anyway, I could imagine them doing like a thing for Control where Jesse Faden like touches, I don't know, a light box or something. It's sucked into this world where everything's made of paper and Jesse's made of paper. And to progress through the world, she needs the help of like little sidekicks, and they attack enemies in turn, and then the enemies get to attack her in turn. And she's like, "What is this?" And was like, "You have to do the action commands, Jesse."
That's really funny. Where are the televisions? I don't think the televisions are in this part of the mushroom zone. But also, I don't know where else to go. Explode.
I feel like you should be wearing some kind of respirator.
Yeah, we should probably be doing that. It's fine. We have enough resonance to protect us? Question mark? Oh, that reminds me. You should talk about the article that we found. Well, you found.
Oh my god. Okay, so there's this article, maybe you've seen it yourselves, about this town in Texas where people suddenly started getting all these terrible health conditions. Like, people... Oh yeah, it gets worse. Being in Texas is just the start. Yeah, people were having like their ears like there was mention of like someone's, I think, 4-year-old daughter saying something like suddenly screaming, clasping her head, and saying that there were red beams inside her ears or something.
Red beams behind her ears.
Like, ooh, that sounds like something you would find in one of these reports in Control, and like it gets worse and more dire, just like the amount of shit going on. Like, dogs were losing their fur and getting extremely anxious. Like, they were going bald.
A tree died.
Dogs were going bald. People were suffering from nausea. Like, the amount of people going to the hospitals with all these different, seemingly unrelated conditions just suddenly spiked in a huge amount. Like, when you're reading the stuff, it sounds like an altered world event. This is a real-life AWE.
Yeah.
And it was caused by resonance. Specifically, the hum, by which I mean cacophonous noise created by this massive facility that was erected as a Bitcoin mine. So they just have all these computers, all these processors mining Bitcoin, and the sheer amount of like cooling it requires was done by fans, which are loud and noisy, and it was regularly exceeding the legal noise requirements by a huge amount.
Oh, I did not see that, Robin. I did not. Hold on. Yes, hold just a second, folks, while I navigate and find the group chat of us. Where is it? I can never find it for some reason.
Yeah,
That's QWERTY and everyone.
Yeah, heck it. We can have QWERTY can pop in if they want to. Whatever.
Okay. Hello.
Puppy! No, you're not Puppy. What am I saying?
No, I'm not.
Hello.
At one point, yes, but now no longer.
Hello. We are.
Hello, I would currently.
Oh, hi. Sorry, QWERTY. Didn't mean to call.
You don't have to be here if you don't
me.
want, love. It's just we could not find the group chat. That was just the three
I
of
think
us.
this is the group chat.
Okay. Fair.
I think we added
No, we
QWERTY to that group chat.
Fair point. Fair point. Anyway.
Hello, Internet, and goodbye, Internet. I am going to have.
Yes.
Yeah, QWERTY,
Goodbye.
we all like you.
Have a good lunch.
Yeah. It's kind of
So-
funny. I had to send a message saying I could be in a call, and I DM'd both of you because that got missed, and nobody responded to that.
I
was
did
like,
not notice. I'm sorry. I was lost to the mushrooms.
this is some sort of altered world event, surely.
Surely. I'm just distracted
Yeah,
by the
so-
mushrooms. I've
So
also
yeah,
set up
just
a side
this
stream.
facility producing mining Bitcoin was just like well above legal sound pollution levels, even by Texas's standards, which is already pretty lax.
Yeah.
And it's just killing people. Well, no, I don't know if anyone's actually died, but
no one died.
like some guy
according
had
to the
like
article?
major heart problems and required a pacemaker be fitted. So like, no one's died because they've got like medical care.
Yeah, they could have died. Is this where I can find TVs? This is
And like,
not a place.
I
where
think
can
this
find
place
TVs.
is
This is Labo
like the
5.
facility is called something like, what was it? Wolf
Oh. Wolf.
Cave
Wolf.
2.
It was
something.
Wolf. It was Wolf Point 2 or
Wolf Point.
something like
Hey, I
that.
think you found TVs.
I did find TVs.
Okay, we get to watch live action now.
That's all 5 samples.
Yeah, no,
Oh, no.
the thing is absolutely evil here. Like, the people are basically suffering. Experts are saying they're essentially being tortured.
Gone.
What? I don't know if I'm audible right now.
You are audible.
You are.
Okay, I'm having an altered world event happen to my computer right now, so...
Oh no!
Oh, I thought
There
you were
was-
reacting to it's like we've
No,
seen
I-
Threshold Kids, we know what the deal is.
I don't have a reaction to this particularly.
I hope everything's
But
okay.
also, like... There were like semi-power flickers that cut my monitors and also made it USB devices disconnect and reconnect repeatedly.
Oh no.
But also nothing shut down.
That's mysterious.
It sounds like you just lost power for a brief second, and there's probably like... I think the machine has like a small amount of power that it stores or something, so that it can like survive a little bump.
I mean, it hasn't survived other small power flickers recently, so...
Fair enough.
A mystery.
In that case, yes, this probably is an AWE. Try to get superpowers. Have you got any sort of items lying around that have strange paranatural properties?
Smartphones are pretty weird. Does that count?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Potentially.
To
Smartphones are
Zupax.
connected to a hell dimension. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Anyway, that was an entry of the Threshold Kids about how sometimes a building moves and how you don't want that to happen.
The safe employees are happy employees moment is the only part of Threshold Kids that I was aware of before seeing any of this game because it was somebody's stream alert.
I did. Oh right, that's Voidburger, right?
That is Voidburger, yes.
I knew I recognized that from somewhere, but I couldn't remember. Incredible.
Were you saying something about a kazoo being an altered item, Isa?
Kazoos are just weird, that's all.
Ah, powerful. Anyway, we have all the mold
You look like a
sample.
woman with mold for me.
Let's give it to Underhill.
I found L5, but I kind of wanted to eat them.
Yeah, don't do
The mold
Just
that.
so you
has that
know.
effect on some people. Likely due to the fact it's not actually mold, or even of this dimension. I suspect it is the result of two incompatible molecular structures, one dominant, coming into contact. I call it mold or fungus because it's closer in appearance and behavior than anything else we know, except perhaps bacteria.
She reminds me of my old biology teacher.
Did you happen to meet any more members of my ranger detail?
I didn't see any rangers, just walking mold people. Unless...
Yes. If you found mold people, you found my rangers. I refer to the creatures as hosts. They, like other unwary agents, succumbed to the appetite. But that's nothing for you to worry about. The pill I'm about to make with
it's
these
good as
samples
that.
will make the lower level perfectly safe to traverse. It has the added benefit of immunizing you against the pit's toxic spores.
Why did you not want her to not eat mold then? If you knew.
There. That didn't take too long now, did it?
Probably just assumed that we would be
Ingest
smart
this
enough
pill,
not to.
Then go and find the source of the mold. Only
That
there
seems like
can
a
you
bit of an
begin
assumption to
understand
make.
how to stop it.
Especially considering she's
Take an
been so
extra pill
dismissive
because
of
of
Jessie
your
up to this
hazmat
point.
suit tells you to.
Probably.
Great idea,
yeah.
Jessie.
As Jessie herself just says. Ah yes, take the pill that
Honestly,
the
did you want me to
brood
wrap it
lady
in
gave you.
cheese?
Not the taste, the smell. It stinks in here now.
Good. That means the pill is working. The worse it smells, the safer you'll be. Now go. Find the source.
Will do, Underhill.
I'll see you later.
Jeez, I wish pills worked that
Dr.
instantly.
Underhill, if you please.
Same.
Are we finished?
This must be the pit Underhill was talking about.
Yeah, I still feel like Threshold Kids is one of the weaker elements of this.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it doesn't make much sense in context, and it feels like it's trying too hard.
It is trying a bit too hard. Like,
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
I
Given
get-
the existence of a new one in the DLC area, that implies either that they didn't care how people felt about it, or people liked it.
Yeah.
Or they had already made it because they were planning to do the DLC. Didn't do much.
Yeah, that's true too, I guess.
rude mushrooms.
Ramsey, Ranger Captain, note 7.25. Underhill sent us
I don't know. I would have been fine with it if it just turned out that, like, they found out that, like, the kids just were into that. They just found it more sort of entertaining. It was, like, over the top, spooky or something. Like, maybe just it was just a fancy that one of the kids met.
I mean, maybe. Like, Dylan...
The only way they didn't feel condescended to. I don't know. If there's just something like that, I would be so much better with it. It just feels so unnecessary. Like, why would they do it? Like, if there's an AWE affecting it or something, then I'm like, yeah, okay.
My read on it is that they allotted maybe like $5 to it, and the person who suggested it, their pitch was, I learned how to make puppets in college. With like 2 thumbs up.
That much I get. Like, I can
As
like
for why it's like the way it is, I can see like a couple diegetic reasons as to why. One, the people of the oldest house are just so desensitized that they think that this is normal. 2, they are trying to emphasize the danger by making it a little warped. 3, maybe it is being like affected by the hiss, because we know this was made for Dylan. Like, it was pretty implicitly made for Dylan. So maybe that's part of why it's messed up, because it's connected to Dylan, and Dylan is his connection to the hiss is like corrupting.
The thing is, though, is that, like, when has the hiss ever altered reality in that sort of way?
That is true. It might just be a thing that Dylan has done. Or maybe Dylan does like this stuff. Who knows? Maybe...
Like, I don't know. If Dylan is like the other side of just the FBC personnel just being absurdly weird and written to be just monstrous for unclear reasons. Like, we all get that like therapists and bureaucrats and etc. can be absolutely awful, but there's no subtlety at all.
Yeah.
It just feels like, are they messing up on purpose? This is the most obviously stupid thing you can do to a guy who can explode people.
True. There might be some subterfuge going on about why the treatment of Dylan happened the way it did, because we do know Trench was corrupted by the hiss when they picked him up, basically, because that's when they did the experiments with the slide projector.
Was it? I mean, they did the experiments with the slide projector sometime later, but like how much later? Like how long were they doing experiments? Because it looked like the projector had been used up until very recently, considering that's when
the hiss controlled
Lab Coat Man was saying like,
Dark
oh heck,
Dalek, yeah.
I have like 5 minutes to whip up
the HRAs,
an anti-hiss measure.
Also, the Get Well balloon supplemental background. The item was used in the children's ward of a local hospital in Redacted. Witnesses do not recall where the balloon came from. Therapy dogs, part of a program called Redacted, meant to comfort the sick children, were noticeably attracted to the item. They reportedly jumped at the item, licking at it when they could. The children claimed the dogs began walking through the halls of the hospital at night, howling in a low pitch. One child described the sound as singing. A few days later, the dogs were all discovered dead, a dark substance leaking from their redacted, probably mouths, eyes. The hospital staff called local authorities, who called the CDC. Bureau agents intercepted this call and arrived at the scene within redacted hours. The items were taken for evaluation along with the remains of the dogs. Man, that's sad.
I don't think AWE should be allowed to hurt dogs.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I am going to outlaw that when I become
I think something
director.
that this game is just making me think about is, how do you write weird stuff capital W, capital S, weird stuff without it being like, without it not working. Like, how do you decide, like, without it just seeming like it's haha random and all that? How do you do this?
That's a good question.
And
I feel like this
I
game
don't
does a good
know-
job of it.
I don't know if every part of this game succeeds in that personally, and
Yeah.
I'm just sort of like wondering like where the line is, how you think of this stuff, what the process is. Like, as an example, another example is like whenever like Dylan is speaking and saying like weird, supposed to be unsettling random things, it's just like, to me that's just sort of like, okay, but like why though?
Okay, the thing about that is that it painfully reminds me of when I was like a teen and thought that it was subversive to say random stuff and to look freaky by smiling big and just it wasn't just lame. It's I can understand the hiss affecting someone in a way that makes them, it doesn't know how to present as normal, perhaps, and is kind of punching people in a weird way. But like Trench, nobody seemed to realize much was up with him for ages.
That's a good point.
I think Dylan is actively like doing a bit when he's acting like that.
I don't know, because why would he do that with Jessie?
Because he wants to unnerve her.
No. When we first meet Jessie,
yeah,
one of the things he says is like, no, the hiss are the good guys. It's the Bureau that's bad. And he has like a bajillion reasons to be able to convince her of that.
Maybe...
Instead, he's just been like, oh, look at how possessed and evil I am. Trust me. No, it doesn't work for me. I feel like a lot of the stuff this game does with the spooky, weird, otherworldly stuff works because it feels kind of grounded, and even like some of the sort of funny stuff, like it's a duck that just follows people around.
Yeah,
is like that works because it doesn't feel like it compromises the setting. It doesn't feel like it.
My thought is
feels written.
My thought is that there is a part of Dylan who like understands the Hiss are the bad guys, even after all the stuff he's been through, and that part is making him try to act unnerving. Maybe.
That seems like a stretch to me personally.
Yeah, that's
same. I think that Dylan has every reason to be pro Hiss, considering his life has been imprisonment and torture.
Yeah.
And like the Hiss is freedom, it's also lashing out at all the people that have hurt him. Like,
yeah, I think probably Dylan's writing is one of the weaker parts of the game for me personally.
I do agree on that.
He
like,
feels
I do
very
agree.
wasted to me.
I do agree on that.
Okay, what if everything in the game was exactly the same except that they called the Hiss the cringe instead?
Okay, yeah, no,
Okay,
you fixed it.
Bremen basket. Background. The item came to the Bureau's attention through several news reports in which a family was harassed by animals during a picnic in the redacted National Park. Family fled the scene with the basket. Witnesses report seeing the family chased by the following species of animal. Redacted. 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 The family eventually abandoned the basket, at which point the animals remained with it for an unknown length of time. Agents acquired the item from the park's lost and found offices. This is a
Okay, a lot of the times the redacted parts seem like they're really arbitrary and like strange words to choose, but I think this one is actually pretty funny.
Yeah, this is pretty good. My thought reading this is like, is this Yogi Bear and his friends trying to steal the picnic basket?
It could be. But like when I mentioned like how do you do weird things without it like not working well, like I'm not saying they're all bad, but like one of the things I'm thinking about is all these like altered item reports and all that. It's like, do you just like pick an object and then pick a weird effect that's maybe or maybe not vaguely related to the object and then just like go with it?
Maybe.
Like it doesn't always work, and I don't really know how they went about doing this, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I imagine there's all sorts of different ways that they could make one. Like, starting with an object like the slide projector or something is something that you can do a lot with, and it has like a lot of sort of associations that you can play with. It can be a really sort of fun thing just to start with, being like, this really needs to have some supernatural sort of elements around. And whereas another thing, you could be like, what if there's something that did this? What would do this?
Yeah, I guess it's not exactly why or it's not exactly like how they do this that I'm curious about. It's just I can't really figure out the right words for like conveying like, because like the idea of I have to make a surreal weird object, there's like lines that you have to not cross to make it like work. I don't know. I don't know words for this.
I get exactly what you mean. There is a level of there's a point where it starts to become weird and stupid without it being like creepy. Like here's actually a good example from Stephen King.
Razier is also right, saying like weird that's creepy without being funny when they're going for that. Sometimes I think they are going for funny.
Yeah,
I would like funny. I think is fine, but it has to be like the right sort of funny. It doesn't have to. It shouldn't compromise the tone of the game or the sort of the authenticity of it.
Yeah. Like, I think a good example would be from one of Stephen King's short story collections, which is appropriate given Alan Wake and, by extension, Control are inspired by them. On the one hand, we have the Mangler, which is like a laundry machine or a trash compactor that it, like, compels you to get killed by it, but it's just kind of bad and dumb. And on the other side, we have, I forget the name of the story specifically, but it's like The Shortcut, which is about how there was this old lady he knew who could drive you anywhere really, really good. And one time, the narrator took a ride with her, and it was very creepy and unsettling, but he got where he wanted to go really fast, and it was fine. Otherwise, it was just really unsettling.
I guess, like, one example in this game to point to specifically is the Get Well balloon that we just read about recently.
Yeah.
Because, like, with that, it's a balloon that says get well, but it made the dogs get not well. Oh, horror, scary, spooky.
Yep.
I know. I think that one works for me because it's like... It's not... Well, okay, when you say it like that, it does that. But for me, I was just like, okay, so it's just an object that has started sort of leading some paranatural substance, and obviously that's not going to be good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't know why, or like what it exactly does, what it is. It's just something paranatural is leaking through via this object. And the idea of like, oh shit, the fact that this was just a completely mundane item that kids were exposed to, sick kids, is just kind of like world building to me, the way of like, this is the sort of thing that can happen in this setting and that needs specialists to deal with. And I know it's not like a great story on its own, but as part of the overall tapestry of the game, I think it works for me.
Yeah, and
I guess
honestly,
so.
honest and obviously to each their own on some of these. Also,
it's just an example of like the object not having any sort of direct connection with its effects.
Yeah,
that's
I think that
at least
work
easily
too,
visible.
Because like it adds to the unknowability.
Yeah,
like,
that can work too, but it's part of my question of like wondering how they came up with this stuff. Like, when do they make one that's connected and when do they not? Do they just like mix it up?
No, I'm sure they just had like in the writer's room, they just kept sort of bouncing ideas off each other and sort of writing them down as they came to them, and then just
Probably,
like working in what they had when it felt appropriate. And especially for things like the balloon, that's an extremely throwaway item. It's not like it's important anyway.
Right.
So it's fine for like a kind of half-assed one to sort of exist here and there. It's just part of the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a related thing that I've thought about sometimes. Like, it's connected to something else. Where, like, how do you deliberately do surrealism is something I've pondered before.
That is a good question.
You do that all the time, so yeah, of course you'd think about it.
I do.
You're good at
You always
surrealism.
put like surrealism in your stuff.
Well, I guess I'm doing it without thinking about it then.
Yeah. Also,
Like,
It's just,
go back to Super Coke Pockets RPG. There's surrealism in that, wasn't there?
you know, probably, but I don't love to think about that game these days.
that's entirely fine. Anyway,
just saying that,
we're
like,
fighting
it's
Mold
designed
1.
for
Say hello to
yeah,
everybody's,
we sure are.
everybody's friend, giant, awful mushroom plant.
This is a Metroid Prime boss, I think.
This is very much a Metroid Prime boss. It is also many consider it to be the most difficult and worst boss in the game.
Huh. Worse than that annoying guy.
Yes. Ow.
To me, this just reminded me
I
of
don't even
that
know
first
what
boss
killed
from
me.
Twilight Princess. The one that's just like giant Dekubabas.
Yeah, but that boss is good. One of the reasons why this is considered really bad is the mold enemies do not give you a lot of, like, regenerative...
Pickups.
They do not give you health pickups, basically, at all. So, hope you don't get hit. And also, they do 1 billion damage. So,
That's
hope you
fun.
don't get hit. Do not have any feasible way to make this easier other than to just, like...
I feel like this
Get
game
through it.
could have just done with a small inventory where you could like hold 3 med packs or something.
Any ability to heal
Is that the source?
would be good, please.
It's kind of pretty.
Alan Wake had healing in it.
Nope. Not
Yeah, Alan Wake was more survival horror. This is more action horror.
Yeah, so it should have more healing.
Well, what I mean is that Alan was weak a little bit. Jesse, I feel like they're trying to go for like Jesse should be able to stand on her own with her own powers, and like the thing is that like we send you in there and you have all the tools you need to crush this thing. I don't know. I don't entirely agree with it, but like I feel like it makes sense for Alan to have to ration healing items and Jesse to not have that, but I don't think it works.
I do get what you mean. I do get what you mean. I do wish one of Jesse's powers was to maybe, like, heal. Because healing's a good, good and cool power. Ouch.
She needs just a bit of... If they're gonna make the bosses hit this hard and be this obnoxious, then yeah, just give her something.
Yeah. Please. I remember...
Yeah, go on.
I remember Mold 1 took me like a billion years when I first played this.
Wait until you have to fight Mold 2, or Twin Mold as they call them.
Thankfully there's only the one.
pretty.
So yes, what was I saying? All criticising the game. I feel like there's this weird wanting to have it both ways, with saying that the Federal Bureau of Control is fucked up evil, but also wanting to be like, also it's a good thing and people there are good.
Yeah, I can... Uh-oh, right.
You need a lot of characters who are just like treated as unambiguously good guys and they're doing the good thing. And Jessie wants to be the director. Like she's pretty early on. She's like, huh. I always wanted to find this place, but I never really realized that what I really wanted was to be part of this world. I was like, And just we learn all this evil, messed up stuff the Bureau's done, and the game just kind of shrugs it off as like, well, that was in the past. I don't know.
It does feel a little weird. It does also, I think, feel a little sensible in a way, because like it is one of those cases where, like, here is a really messed up, evil, like, clown doll that you have to destroy. What lengths do you go to kill it? Like, the evil space
That much
monster.
I get, but, like, I'm talking about the sort of way that they treated Dylan and Jesse. Like,
Yeah, that
just
stuff's weird.
doing this weird manhunt for Jesse, imprisoning Dylan pretty much against his will, and, like, basically torturing him.
Yeah.
Like, the sort of weird, creepy ways in which they just make out people who've seen, like, real stuff and are trying to deal with the trauma as being insane and not giving them, like, any support. Like, they have that whole radio show, and it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, it's making conspiracy, like, theory. It's making people who've seen this stuff look like insane conspiracy theorists. But, like, we've seen firsthand from Jessie how much it messed her up to not only go through such a traumatic event, but then to be gaslighted her whole life about it.
Yeah, that's like... That... I can absolutely see why people might be like, that feels like a necessary evil, but like, it is an evil, and they should probably have mentioned that, yeah, no, that's evil. We probably shouldn't do that, but I get why they do.
I mean, I get why they do this, like, flawed characters, but when you sort of connect that to stuff like the Threshold kids just being bizarrely, inhumanly in sort of its vibes, when you have, like, the way that they treat Dylan, and, like, you have weird sort of kind of fashy stuff with how, like, Trench and, like, the director's work, the mysterious, creepy board that's never really explored or questioned all that much.
I will say, without spoiling things, I do know that the Foundation DLC does go into that a little bit.
Is that the source?
Yeah,
don't know
that's
the
fine.
specifics,
Fair
but,
enough.
like...
I'm just saying that over the course of the story that we've seen so far, it's kind of feels both like it's like Jesse's exploring this messed up Men in Black society, sort of secret organization who've done all these, like, atrocious things, like what you sort of find out about, like, COINTELPRO and stuff, just absolutely messed up. But also, they have to also be, like, a group that you want to join, and it has to have characters that you like. And also, you want Jesse to become the new boss, and so it has to be, like... It feels messy. It feels very messy to me. It feels very unfocused and unclear on what it's doing. I'm not a huge fan of that element of it.
No, I get that.
It's confused.
And I do agree, it is a little at odds with itself.
Now, I don't want to be sort of misunderstood to mean, like, I think this game is bad by any means. I'm experiencing this game. I really like Jesse, I love the sort of lore, I love Artie, the Old Gods of Asgard, just the sort of way it builds on the Alan Wake universe, and the two sort of build on each other. I think there's so much here that's so cool. I really like it. And my issues with it are just things that just take me out of the experience. It's basically like, that didn't have to be there. That just kind of... it'd be just, it's a bump in the road. Like,
Yeah.
You're having a nice drive, then you hit an unexpected pothole. And you're like, damn, this drive would have been really nice if that pothole wasn't there.
It is the Remedy story of, you have a good idea and you did something neat, but it wasn't perfect because you're kind of dumb sometimes. That kind of describes Max Payne entirely.
You know what this game is making me realize? First of all, it's making me think about the terms Watsonian and Doylist more than I have in my life up until this point.
Entirely fair.
And secondly, I'm realizing that when I'm critical of things, or like, I tend more towards the Doyleist part of that spectrum.
Could
Is
you
like,
quickly define Doyleist and Watsonian? Because I do not remember them.
I believe Doyleist is like the out-of-universe explanation for things, like the writers did this, and then Watsonian is the in-character, in-universe explanation for things, like this is this way because of this aspect of the universe.
Yeah, Doyleist because Arthur Conan Doyle needs X thing to happen so that the mystery novel happen. Watsonian is this happens because Dr. Watson has a bad leg because he was in in a war. I don't remember which one, and thus it follows that this plot event happens. When the and I feel like it is important to keep both in mind personally, because yes,
it is
Doyleist wise, yes, everything that happens because if it doesn't, the story doesn't happen. I feel like that's important, but can sometimes get reductive.
Yeah,
I feel like my basically the perspective I approach fiction with veers more towards Watsonian the more I enjoy the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
but I guess that's probably reasonable.
That's understandable, I think.
I think it's a matter of trust. Because
maybe.
like if you're doing the Watsonian thing, if you're saying, oh, the reason for this being like this could be these lore reasons, I think what you're doing is trusting that there's perhaps some intent that wasn't conveyed properly, or that was meant to be inferred as subtext. And so for me, this is like something that I notice about myself. Like, I become a lot more critical of things when I don't feel like that trust is there, and I feel like certain aspects of the world building have gone really shoddy. And so basically where I come at it is like, I don't need everything to have like solid reasons, but if it starts to become a pattern, if it starts to become an issue to me in either the sense that I feel like it doesn't have that sort of the Watsonian sort of layer feeling natural to it,
right?
And the Doyleist side just feels too bare bones, too like an exposed endoskeleton. I don't want to see the endoskeleton. It's important, it's there, but it should be like...
Yeah. For me...
Pretty.
I didn't actually finish my point, I don't think. But
sorry,
like, it's okay. I was gonna just say, like, I think for me, something about the writing and tone of this game is making me like you two were having a big old discussion about like about the writing and like possible in-universe explanations for stuff included, and something about the tone and writing of this game just makes me like, instead of seeing all that, I see the writers have a very cynical sense of humor, and sometimes it doesn't land.
Yeah. I think the great amount of just how much you feel inclined to have a Doyleist or Watsonian interpretation of things depends on just how much you become aware of the fact that it's a fiction and like get a sense of the voice of the author in a way that perhaps removes you from the experience. You can have a very strong authorial voice and not feel removed from the experience. But like if that's something that clashes with you, I think that's something that can be make you think a lot more about what the author's doing than how the story, how the world building, how the way things are put together in universe feels.
I guess like another way to put what I said about how the author's in the writing tone. Oh no!
I killed myself with the explosive. I'm pretty sure.
Like, but another way to put it, I guess, is I feel like the game is cynical without really having a point behind it sometimes as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think. I feel like there,
no.
I feel like there is a point sometimes because like this is a big organization that is like
It's a sampling bias.
Yeah.
This is an organization that's all about collecting the bad shit. So it's all being concentrated here in one place. And at the same time, you've got this massive catastrophe going on, so it's even showing all the even worse red. But also, it feels like it doesn't justify why some things are just ridiculous bad for no reason. Like, again, the threshold kids or the way that they treat Dylan.
Yeah, that's sort of what I meant. Like, but I guess something about this game's tone and whatnot just isn't really for me as much, so I'm a little more cynical myself here. I'm not trying to say that the game is bad or anything, for the record.
I know, and I don't think that you think that. I feel like you would tell me if that's how you felt.
Yeah, I think this game has a lot of neat ideas, but like the execution is not always.
It feels a bit
perfect.
liberal. It feels like, sure, the FBI sometimes does something bad, but if we put a different guy in charge of the FBI, then it could be redeemed and be a force for good.
There's a little bit of that, yeah.
I mean, that's the entire game. The entire game
so.
is the Bureau has a lot of bad stuff, but if Jesse's the boss, then everything will be fine and good.
Also, Jesse like starts the game saying the Bureau sucks, and then by the end of the game, she's like, "I guess I'm the head of the Bureau, and that's cool."
Yeah.
That's a very reductive way of putting it, but
if I'm in
like,
this position, I may as well try and make it better.
I guess so.
Yeah, but it's not like she's suggesting, we need to completely change our approach to things. She's like, well, I guess that I have to be the person who goes and kills the monsters. And I'll be better than Trench, because I won't get corrupted, because I have Polaris.
Also, Razier is saying, like, horror is like a genre, like a thrill sort of genre, and made for entertainment might not necessarily have a point. That's true, but I do feel like this game is trying to convey something.
Well, the thing is,
more than that,
everything's political because everything is created in accordance to a person's worldview. It's like,
well, yeah.
To what degree something is really realistic depends on what one thinks is realistic. And for some people, what they think is realistic is that everyone is fundamentally selfish bastards who are only after themselves, and so sometimes you get a piece of work that's written that way, and it feels miserable and fake and stuff because it doesn't.
I died because once one of the heads.
I'm not saying that, Rizir. What I'm saying is that not everything has to have a point, but sometimes it feels like.
Even if you don't know you're making a statement, you're making a statement.
Yeah, or that it doesn't realise the statement it's making, or it doesn't realise certain assumptions it's made about the world, but it should just kind of accept
pretty
as being like, this is how things are, and like, you notice this with like, when heterosexuals are writing something, and you can tell very much from the relationship dynamics that like, they didn't even consider that like queer people exist. Like they may know intellectually, they just don't have that sort of perspective in how some people may interact, and so it's very cis-het sort of storytelling where it just has certain values just embodied by everyone because that's all enough.
One time I had a therapist recommend like a book about positive thinking and stuff or something like that, and I was immediately put off by how like cis-het normative it really came off as. So like I get that, and even from like an out of fiction perspective, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely a thing. So yeah, it's not like we're trying to say that this is trying to make a statement about anything, just that.
I guess what I was trying to say is that for some reason this game feels like it's trying to make a statement to me, but I don't know what that statement is.
I have a feel.
If that makes any sense.
It does make sense. I have a thought about that. I feel like the statement it is trying to make is that there are supernatural ghosts and ghoulies out there, and they're very dangerous and threatening, and sometimes there are people who have to deal with it, and sometimes they mess up and are a little too aggressive.
See, that's just like that's not really what I meant by a statement. I guess.
I know. Like translating that from what I said into what I mean is that it is saying that sometimes you have to do the bad thing to do the good thing. And like I completely get why people would be against that.
Personally, I don't feel like it's trying to say that. I don't think it's trying to say anything necessarily. It's just telling the story of like, what if you found SCP and then the character you're playing as became the boss because of arbitrary arcane reasons that just basically just puts you in a position of power. So that's if you're talking about duelist stuff.
It's a chosen.
She's the director because giving the player that much influence and significance, and like being able to access all of the facility, having the authority to, having like all of that, it makes some sense from like this is what makes a lot of sense to do with a character in this sort of setting to make the game work. So I don't feel like it's even necessarily trying to make a point about like this or that. It's just telling certain stories with this setting, like, oh, what if your brother got abducted by some secret Black Ops government organization, or like, what if you're being treated like you are some sort of eldritch being and they're just doing experiments on you the same way they would like a rubber duck that teleport.
I guess another way to put what I was trying to say is like it. Maybe not so much that it feels like it's trying to make a point, but maybe it just feels like the writers think they are clever or profound. Maybe.
Possibly.
See,
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
I'm very feelings based, and I don't always know words for the feelings I'm trying to talk about because I'm very centered in red mana. You see.
No,
to me, it feels very much like, and there's an absence of a point. Like
that could be.
The whole thing's just is creating this sort of worldview or something that is kind of at odds with itself, but also doesn't like reach any statement. It doesn't seem to know what it's saying, or even sort of consider that there might be something that's the world that they've made and like the way that they've presented what's good or not about it might say something about their perspective on things. It feels incomplete in a way, and not entirely self-aware.
I think this game is, if you were to like boil it down to what I think that they were trying to do, like genuinely, is that this is a game about taking control, about being in a situation where like everything is bad and you feel like you have no control, and being thrust into a situation of like, okay, you have control now. That's what I feel is like they're doing with this game, which I know is a little blasé because like, yes, the game is called Control. Yes, there is a big song, a big rock musical number about the main character realizing that they are in control and are the coolest and the best. But I feel like that is a narrative that is sometimes needed. Like, yes, I would like to be in control of my life, please.
I mean, that makes sense, yeah. And like what Razir says also makes sense. Like, maybe it's just a weird horror game trying to be a weird horror game. Like, that's entirely possible.
Yeah, like
the only thing
Sorry.
Just a quick sentence. One sentence. The only thing I'm trying to convey is that this game gives me, it has like vibes to me of the things I'm describing. I'm not trying to say that that's like probably what happened. I'm just saying like something about how all of the elements of the game go together is giving me this sort of like impression or vibe that doesn't really necessarily mean anything. It is simply a feeling, and I thought it was interesting to mention it.
And I do.
That was much more than one sentence. That was short. Also,
I think the idea of sometimes a pipe is just a pipe is a very funny choice to sort of mention, like in terms of like conveying that idea, because it brings to mind that one piece of art that is just like, this is not a pipe. Like, that questions what actually is an object. Like, is the image of an object an object? Like, where do we count the distinction there? Sometimes a pipe is just a pipe, but what's a pipe?
Yeah.
And so, like, we could be talking about different things when we're saying, like, yeah, I don't think they made this to make any specific message or something, but I still think that that's just in the act of creating a thing, like, putting aspects of what you believe into the world, there is stuff that can be derived from that, and sort of that can sort of get into your brain as though it were trying to signify something. And that recognizing how that can happen and sort of working with that is part of the act of creating.
Yeah. So
That sounds reasonable.
Here's a question for all of you. Jesse's hairpin is a triangle that is pointed up. Like how the board is a triangle pointed down.
Yeah, I kind of figured the hairpin was meant to evoke the board.
Do you think that's on purpose? Do you think...
I would say probably, because it's not a typical hairpin shape.
Yeah,
so
but also the building
deliberately.
the building has to have non-typical objects inside of it, otherwise they get corrupted and weird.
That feels kind of arbitrary in my mind.
I think it's
a lot
adorable.
of stuff feels typical, and like that's because you can't remove the sense of like what this thing is from what am I trying to say? You can't change something so much that it's unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Like, to a certain point, we recognize a thing because it's typical.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very typical fire hydrant right there.
Yeah.
The buckets aren't like weird octagon shapes. They're round, circular, like... It's kind of arbitrary in a way what things work. Like, that's fine. The magic is arbitrary.
Yeah.
It feels rules that people don't understand.
Also, Razir brings up a good point of it does feel a little weird that Jessie joins this organization. I also feel like she did not join of her own volition. She walked into the building and was handed a gun and told to go kill. And she's learned that she's good at handling supernatural stuff.
I mean, here's what's the perspective I think
This has
Jessie
been like
has.
a day. A day has passed for Jessie. She's got a lot of stuff going on.
When Jessie got the gun, she found it and like she had the voice in her head, Polaris, saying, "Pick up the gun." And she's like, "What? You want me to pick up the murder weapon? Are you serious?" And it's like, but she does it because she trusts Polaris.
Yeah.
And then like, the board says, "Okay, you're the boss now," and so now she's in a position where like, she doesn't trust the Bureau. But she's recognizing like certain feelings she has of like, oh, I kind of want to be a part of this world because it kind of validates all my feelings of like being different from everyone else, in sort of having this entirely different perspective of what the world even is.
Yeah.
That sort of alienation. She doesn't have to sort of feel because like the people around her are like, oh yeah, no.
And you're not sprouting mold from
your town did just get like wiped out by this weird magic bullshit.
Now tell me
and
everything. Did you find the source?
You are right. You aren't sort of hallucinating, and that's gonna be refreshing.
Yeah, and I feel like that ties into the control, like theming of the game, where it's like
you found the source and you killed it. I could have learned so much from a live
Sorry,
specimen.
As the game progresses,
concern is touching.
As the game progresses, she is becoming more and more confident in her role. At the beginning, she's like, she's just accepting that she's director or whatever as a means to an end. But like, she starts building relationships with people. She starts conquering parts of the oldest house.
Yeah.
She becomes powerful, and now she feels like the Bureau is what she can make it. I feel like no, it's not a clear point where she goes from thinking Bureau's bad to joining the Bureau.
So what now?
but I also feel like it doesn't entirely mesh, and I think the main point of that is the interaction with Dylan when she meets him for the first time. And he's like, hey, the Bureau's bad, maybe the Hiss are a good thing. And she's instantly like, this guy's fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to believe the thing he says. And like, but he's like, hey, check this out, if you go to this area, you'll see something that'll change your whole view. Except it doesn't. I was expecting it to challenge her in more of a way, but she never really questions that the Bureau and that the Hiss might not be bad, or...
I'll go take care of them.
I know, I thought that maybe there's going to be something there of like how the Hiss is just like a hurt animal lashing out, and it's the Bureau's fault for instigating, or something like that, but
Dr. Underhill.
It just felt a bit unclear to me, a bit messy. I feel like Jessie maybe should have more doubts at that point, and then like come to more of her own solid conclusion towards the end of like what the state is and what needs to be done, rather than just being like, well, I'm in control now.
Yeah.
I think she did say something vague about like there being a long road ahead of them and improving the situation, but that's about it.
I mean, that's also because like it's going to take an age to root out the Hiss, so it just feels like, yeah, they're going to need to rebuild anyway, because like 90% of the workforce.
Anyway, let's talk to the plants in Central Research. We've done.
Did we finish the mold DLC?
Well, this isn't DLC.
Or no?
This is part of the base game, and
it is?
We did pretty much defeat it. We did the story stuff. We just now have a cleanup mission of killing 3 more hosts that are just kind of like elsewhere in the building.
For some reason, I thought this was DLC.
Nope.
So the thing I said like a while ago about there was still Threshold kids in the DLC is now not relevant because this is in the base game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, this is the mold stuff is all base game.
This kind of felt like DLC because it was after the main story.
And
like self-contained.
Extremely detached from everything else.
We
like
could've...
aside from the fact that Artie was like, clean up the mold for me. It just doesn't feel connected.
We could have done this at any time after we got the ability to fly, is the thing. And
I'm just saying that like it feels very much like when you're playing a video game that's got DLC, and you get sent to this new area of the map that is like completely separated from the rest, and none of the characters' speaking roles in the main game have speaking roles here because you're talking to new NPCs, so you don't have to get the voice actors back in, and it just felt very segregated.
Yeah, ow.
Portioned off.
Okay, more than 3. There's a bunch of mold people in each of the areas where they have been found. Okay.
And yeah, Razia's right, like, the Men in Black fantasy is fundamentally gonna be...
a little messed up.
It's gonna be, because, like, the whole point of it is that, like, they're lying to people, they're hiding things, they're fabricating events, etc., and that is necessary in order to have a world that feels much like ours, without it just being like, if you go too far, then you have stuff like, it's not our world anymore, because everyone's just casually accepting that superheroes are around, and they've known about aliens since the 60s as like just a thing that happens, and like it suddenly starts to feel weird that it's so much like our world, but also people have been sort of living this completely different history for the last several decades or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that happens in comic books, and comic books are weird. Yeah, of course they are. Like, that's fine, but it depends on sort of what sort of thing you're going for, and if you want to have this sort of discovering a huge secret world, then someone has to be keeping it a secret. And so, like, yeah, that's going to happen. But I think that there's also like questions made about how to sort of change the way it operates to be less
you
dishonest,
have
less
a family?
terrible, like
I have a brother. I miss him a lot.
giving affected people counseling, and so they don't have to go to a therapist who will just tell them that like their lived experiences and the most like significant event in their entire life never happened and they're stupid.
Yeah, and maybe Jesse's new board will actually do that, and that will be good.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice if we just had a bit more development on Jesse's part of like saying what needs to change, perhaps confronting certain faculty members of the old Trench's version of the FBC.
I would love
and
to,
be
but
like,
all of
what
them
you
are
did
dead
was
except for
terrible.
Michael. Not Michael, the Marshall. They're all dead.
Yeah.
So,
Which is a bit makes it easy. I think
Yeah.
it would be really strong if Jesse could, perhaps towards the end, have talked to like one of the higher ups and be like, "You did all this shit wrong. I'm gonna sort of lecture you on how much you messed up, and you're fired."
we might get that with Marshall
we need to
because
change it.
she's somewhere. We don't know what she's doing, how she's doing.
That's true. I just think it would have been good for the main story.
Yeah. Event summary. A possible AWE in which an unnamed individual experienced transcorporeality via a phone line. Event is notably similar to AWE Redacted, in which Redacted. Event is believed to have been caused by Redacted, and as a result of the following measures have been taken to prevent so much black highlighter.
This is like the least readable one.
Yes.
We've seen more unreadable, haven't we?
No, this is
But,
like
like-
the worst, I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the one about the slide projector had more redacted on it, but also that one doesn't count because we know what all of the redacted is in that scenario. So
Okay,
that's
fair.
the joke. But yeah, the
I
emergency
just
call
remember,
is one
like-
of the first things we got, which was about somebody in the phone line.
Yeah, I just remember a moment where Robert was like, "Oh, soon we're gonna have one which is just entirely redacted," and then like a few moments later, you're like, "Ah, it's probably you know the hype that you said this." Well,
I forgot that happened already.
Ah, there's another plant.
They say.
My memory is the
I mean,
real
it's been
thing that got
weeks at this point,
redacted.
Robin.
What does that mean?
I just don't have a very good
experience in
memory.
leadership roles. I have no on-the-job training.
I was a little distracted during that entire discussion when Jesse was speaking to plants because I was like, "Isn't Speak with Plants a Dungeons and Dragons spell? I'm gonna look it up now." And then also I was thinking, you know, a character speaking to something that cannot speak back to them when they are alone and no one is around to hear it is a fascinating way to attempt to do more characterization.
Yeah, which they are kind of doing. She is rambling to the plants about how she does not feel like she's super set up for this. How did I miss this?
Yeah.
Plant complaint. Hey, so I was just wondering about the plants and research. Is it really necessary to sing to them? I mean, that janitor does have a nice voice, and the plants sure seem to like it. Maybe he could just switch it up a bit? Getting pretty tired of the tango. And where did those plants even come from? No one seems to remember when they were planted, and people like them a bit too much if you ask me. Are we being invaded by houseplants? Worth looking into. Dr. Lewis. So these plants are clearly just, like... they're oddies, which means a lot. Given that he may or may not be a Finnish god. Did we not see this one, or...
I like that the oldest house is designed in a way that resembles a tree. Like it, when we see like the image of it.
Yeah.
Like, are we watching a thing?
Sorry, what?
Don't want to interrupt if we're watching
Oh,
a thing.
no, we're not watching a thing. We're just...
Okay.
It looks like we're reading a thing.
A glimpse into the paranatural synchronicity and the unseen connections. Synchronicity is a phenomena long recognized by the wise, but only recently given a name by science. It is how we rationalize events connected by no identifiable causality, yet clearly conjoined in purpose. How does a dream foretell an event in the physical plane? Why do hounds bail at the death of their master, which has occurred miles away? The world is unified in ways we do not yet understand, and sometimes we stumble across these invisible, unseen chords and wonder at the results. The visionary Carl Jung laid the road, now we must walk it. My fledgling research department will make it our mission to reliably reproduce redacted behavior by the close of 1959. Once done, the mechanic of synchronicity will lay themselves bare in due time. We are striding into the future of science. History may not remember our names, but God himself will. I think that's the other issue of, like, why the board is like how it is. It started in the 50s.
Yeah, it probably contributes to it.
Well, I mean, we don't know what the board is, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember the thing I was going to say. We were talking about the pyramid in Jesse's hair.
Yeah.
This is a very minor thing, but I don't know how accurate it is. But I vaguely remember an image, or my mental interpretation of what I saw at one point when we saw at the climax of the game, standing out in like the red void was Dylan atop what looked like an inverted pyramid or something, or like he had a black pyramid above him, or it's on top of a black pyramid or something.
There was a...
I was like,
Okay.
maybe like it's a counterpart to the board, because like we only ever see the board from the lower half. We don't see what's at the top of it. Maybe there's like a counterpart pyramid thing that sits on the top. Maybe Jesse has become that through Polaris or something. Maybe like the Hiss and Polaris were fighting over that position on account of them being not the same thing, but similar in essence.
Yeah. Game Hammer. Note, per archival mandates 8.a, this document has been edited to meet current administrative standards. Certain terminology may be out of date. No method for suppressing the item's thaumaturgical effect is yet known to prevent infection. Wear proper safety gloves while handling. The item is a wooden mallet from a High Striker carnival game. A long wooden handle extends from the head. The item infects any organic material with an unknown disease upon making physical contact. The effects of this disease are similar to leprosy, but develop at a much faster rate. Ugh, goodness. Not claimed any lives, but the secondary infection has. Also, I like that you can tell that one is old because they refer to it as a thaumaturgical effect. That just is different. I like stuff like that.
It's interesting.
Please leave me alone, zombies. Oh my god, why do you do 1 billion damage? They did not approve of me going up here, I think. What? How did that... Whatever.
That's odd.
I think one of them attacked me from below the stairs and it hit me. I don't like dealing with the mold creatures, honestly.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, they feel like they are just a bit much.
I appreciate the idea of introducing different enemies from the Hiss.
Yeah.
That's...
But also they feel like the same sort of thing as the Hiss, also being corrupted people.
Yeah. It's still the same kind of vibe, but different. There's no warp... Oh wait, no, there is a warp to central research. Need to find the rest of the plants. Also, technically, I need to get back to that room to kill those, because those might be part of the killing the mold people quest. I might not do that. I might do that off screen.
Zodi, you can't just go around killing people just because you don't like them.
It's not because I don't like them. It's because they're destroying my oldest house.
How's that different? You have to learn to get along with people that you don't agree with.
It's not that I don't agree with them. It's that they are trying to kill me actively.
Yeah, and that's a difference of opinion. Just because you have different opinions on whether or not it would be good if you were alive or not.
I personally disagree.
And that's just a difference of opinion. We need to compromise.
I do not
In
need
the
to
spirit of
compromise.
liberalism.
No. I need to destroy the rats that are in the house.
Rats are good.
Rats are good.
Don't call them rats.
Rats are good. They're not rats. They are an infestation. But they are not rats. Rats are our friends.
Yeah.
Now, where is that last unhappy plant? I want to make Adi happy by doing the jobs that he asked me to do.
Woody is our friend.
Adi is our friend.
I can't believe that you were so insistent that Otto was just an ordinary janitor. I told you he wasn't. You were like, oh no, yes, you're so wrong.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, it's not what you said.
I was playing it up for the crowd.
You're playing it up for the crowd. Well, you're not exactly going to just do spoilers, are you?
No.
What would be the point? Hello, this is Control. I love this game. I want to share it with you. Just so you know, when Jessie's talking to herself, that's because that she has this otherworldly being called Polaris in her head. And also...
Not gonna do that. I like trying to make things as least spoilery as possible. Dear Dr. Darling, I feel I must inform you of the very questionable documentation I am seeing from Underhill's desk. She clearly has no concept of what the mold is. She claims there are microorganisms responsible for constructing the mold. Ridiculous. It's a rapidly growing fungus, not dissimilar to kudzu. She's fabricating complexity to justify her absurd budget demands. Speaking of which, I find it interesting that an old friend of yours gets her budget approved with no questions asked. I wonder if the Operations Oversight Committee would be interested to learn of that. Yours in estimation, Dr. Abraham Lewis.
That's some bullshit. You know what is a microorganism? Fungi.
Yes.
Yeah, tons of microorganisms that are fungi. And you know what kudzu is? Not fungi.
No, it is not. I think that guy might be a bit, stupid. Well, not stupid.
Yeah.
He's rude.
Honestly, I can understand why Mean Lady is mean. She gets no respect when she's doing a very important job. Like, everyone's, like, rightfully distracted by the hiss, but, like, the fungus is a problem also. Like, Audi knows this, that's why he's like, hey, you should also take care of the fungus while you're here.
Might be a good idea.
So I feel like no one gives her respect.
Yeah, she deserves...
And, like, I get it. You don't want to give respect to the person who's being a dick to you, but maybe the person would be less of a dick to you if you showed them respect. Especially when they're right and, like, doing important work. And, quite frankly, spend all their time in their own basement anyway, so you don't really have to deal with them all that much.
Yeah, Underhill is doing good work. Oh, that just gets us back up to here. However, I noticed you. That's all the mold in Central Research destroyed. Wasn't even attempting to do that. Trying to find my plant friend so I can tell him he's doing a good job at being a plant.
He is. So yeah, the oldest house being like tree-shaped feels very Yggdrasil.
To a degree, yeah.
It's the oldest house, as in like the oldest sort of abode, like, and a house being like a place where things live.
Yeah.
it has massive mythological sort of tones to it, but also like it's an ancient tree with like deep roots, and yeah, it feels Yggdrasil to me, especially considering that all these friends are like the old gods of Asgard and like all this sort of Norse mythology sort of rolling about.
Yeah, that is absolutely a thing that they are going for.
And Orti's like a Finnish god or something?
Yeah, Oti is a Finnish god of water. Like, the actual name means that.
Yeah, which is why he's always got the mop.
Ah, this is probably the other music room that Cordy mentioned in the first-ish stream.
We like QWERTY.
Second.
This is a QWERTY appreciation, so.
Yes.
It's true.
Agreed. The sound of bromance. I'm gonna not. I'll listen to this song later and see if it is okay to put on stream. Just in case. Where's that final plant? I want to make my plant friends feel good about themselves.
The original SBC was squirrels.
Absolutely. Squirrels are very powerful. That just is common knowledge. I tried to scour this place, the bottom to top, but I'm missing one. So where is it? Ah, hello, Cordy. I'm glad you could make it.
QWERTY, hello. We're just
Hello.
talking about the game Control. Have you heard of it?
We are currently looking for the final plant to say does a good job so that it will be happy and get its life back.
Ah, that's good to hear.
Where is that final little pottery?
We just did.
We
were
did.
right in there.
We just found it, and I was going to check it out, but then I was like, actually, I should wait to see if it's okay for the stream, because the credit song got blanked out, so the entire credits got blanked out in the VOD. So I'm going to make sure that it is safe for stream first. Oh, there it is.
Your chlorophyll really brings out the green in the leaves.
Shy little plant hanging out in the corner. The little wallflower.
Oh, what? Why? Why?
What was that?
I got ambushed by a random mission spawned right on top of me as I talked to the flower.
Oh.
This is a normal thing. This is why it's so dangerous being a gardener.
Yeah. Okay, so that's done.
Does it still count even though you died?
It should. Also, I forgot to actually, set down my save point at the control point. So, wait, no, I did not. I'm here. It did count because it is no longer here. That means we've done all the things Adi wanted us to do. We should go talk to Adi. Also talk to Emily about Tomasi. So let's go back to Central Executive. And while I think there are probably some more side missions that we could do, I want to actually start one of the DLCs.
But which one?
Foundation, because I'm leaving the Alan Wake one for last. Because that's the one that's most interesting to me.
Cool. I noticed when listening to Take Control.
Yes.
That there were parts that had backwards lyrics in.
Yes.
I was like, oh, what are those? And I looked them up. And it turns out that they're just some ARG stuff, and I was kind of disappointed because it didn't really mean anything on its own to me.
I took care of the Tomasi problem.
I couldn't tell you what
Sorry,
they are
I
now. Like, one of them was a
forget
bunch of numbers,
Don't
and the numbers
apologize.
have converted it into
That
letters,
wasn't
spelled
the real
something out. I
Tomasi.
don't even remember that.
He died when the hiss got him. You're right. I just didn't want to be insensitive. Sentimentality is a weakness in situations like these, Jesse. It's Bureau 101.
I don't think Emily's in danger of being called sentimental.
Well, that's something we should probably
I've got a bureau to
fix.
run. See you soon. Yes, ma'am, Director Faden.
Please, Emily. Not even as a joke.
Okay, so that's dealt with. Let's go see Ati. Yeah, ventilation is the closest control point to his room. Loading, the game is loading slow, because it is a lot of, like, special effects, genuinely, seriously, it's actually quite ridiculous how like, so much graphics in this video game. I hope everybody watching gets to appreciate, like, the effects and stuff as much as I do. Because, like...
Yeah, some of the parts are really good. Like, the rendering on Darling is so realistic.
God damn it, Isa!
I'm just trying to contribute to the conversation.
Thank you, Isa. For those of you who don't get it, Darling uses FMV sequences.
He's a live action man.
Yes, he is. Let's get confused trying to go to the janitor's office.
Ati's still gone. I get the feeling he had more of an agenda than he let on. Did he already get what he was here for?
Our next mission from Adi. Take a break.
This is what being a janitor is all about.
Jesse has nice boots.
They're shoes, but yes.
I suppose the janitor's assistant does need proper janitor attire.
And so we have taken a break.
Yay.
Huzzah! We've never been to this door somehow. Incredible. Okay, now for serious though, we are going to start the DLC. Once I find a control point.
Gotta check the new outfit out too, I guess.
Oh, for sure, yes. That was the trick and the reason why I was wearing the director's outfit for most of this, because I knew I would get this, and this is the real director's outfit.
Ah.
I'm genuinely curious, Razir, how a future /space version of a game like Control would work, because at some point the alien and the supernatural just kind of like overlap.
It works exactly the same, except there's one character who constantly says everything is aliens as a reference to an outdated meme.
God.
I mean,
The man.
I've mentioned it before, but this game reminds me a lot of Prey, the newer one, not the original one, which has nothing to do with the quote-unquote reboot. Because that has some similar stuff going on to it as Control, and it's in space.
There.
And also
Genesis
the future.
system.
So you should play that sometime.
I might do that.
I mean, I know that's just like the list keeps getting longer, but
it's fine. Now then,
Just stop the hiss, right?
heck yeah, we're finally in the good clothes.
now we have to talk to the board
Sounds like she can really handle things.
in the hotline chamber. This is the wrong way. This is
I'll
where
be
Dylan
here
is.
waiting for you when you wake up, brother.
Actually, I agree.
If you wake up.
Oh, that's just music we can't listen to because we'll get destroyed. Yes, now that we're the director, we can very easily access the hotline chamber. And that is where we need to go next, to actually start the Foundation DLC. I just have to navigate my way over to there. Dinner reservations. Dinner reservations at 7 p.m. at Chez Amber. Wife will meet you there. Don't be late. Flowers are ready for you at lobby reception. Remember, she is turning 46. Well, I hope that person doesn't have to cancel their plans. Otherwise, I will have to write a thing about how I'm sorry that your relation died.
I don't know if that's the job of the director.
Yeah, probably not. This is a quick way to get to the phone, yes? Yes, it is.
Even if it was a dream, I feel Darling reached out to me through the hotline. I have a feeling he and Trench won't be the only callers from the beyond.
I would find it difficult to speak on the phone with all this ambient noise,
Yeah.
personally.
Problem in the foundation.
Well, that's
That
not
was
good.
Ati's vacation spot. We need to check this out.
So you haven't done the DLC of this game before, right?
No.
So this is new to you now.
Yes. I have no idea what's going to happen beyond the fact that it is about the foundation of the building. Right, that's how we get
Interesting.
here. And all I know about the Alan Wake AWE DLC is that it's about Alan Wake. The video game.
Oh, spoilers.
Yeah, okay. I should actually have been more coy about that, because I mean it just is a dark place.
It's what it was marketed at, as I imagine.
It was marked as a dark place. The marketing for it made it very clear that like the DLC image for it was the letters AWE, and it showed like Alan Wake in the letters. So it was like not a secret, but not everybody knows that. But yeah, Foundation first.
Except if you scroll down below the reveal trailer, I'm pretty sure like the first comment is, "Oh my god, it's Alan Wake!"
Almost certainly. But yes, let's get to the Foundation.
Unless the first comment is someone who's dissatisfied and is like, Alan Wake, Alan Sleep, Lamal, or whatever. There's like I'm fairly sure I've seen people say that. I can't claim credit for this.
Almost certainly.
Quiet. Trans-dimensional. This place really suits Ati.
Well,
So that etching is the door.
you will be there
Okay.
momentarily.
Hey, we were talking about
Let's try opening
trees,
it.
so...
Yeah. I don't think I can make it all the way over there. I think there is a thing over there, but I don't. Not gonna risk it. But yeah, here is... I love this this little etching, because it is like the roots of a tree that go all the way up, and since this is in the Foundation, it has like runic vibes that connect it with Ati and the old gods of Asgard. It just is excellent.
There are many meanings here.
Yeah. Time to go on in.
Hey, you're finally awake.
Oh no.
What if that was what happened, though?
That would be really good. Foundation.
No time for sightseeing. The board said this was an emergency.
Ah, darkness. My favorite thing in video games.
Oh boy. This
Okay,
is...
it wasn't dark for very long.
I don't think a game has actually pulled that joke, QWERTY. Although it would be good if so.
Also, there's something funny about me mentioning an outdated meme earlier and then doing a Skyrim joke later.
It was really
Looks
funny,
like no one's
though.
been down here in a while.
Yeah, this place... very red.
You know what this place is making me think about?
What?
This place is making me think about how you should play Outer Wilds.
I intend to at some point.
I'm always thinking this. Like, genuinely, every time Zodi finishes a game, unless, like, this very explicitly something that she's already got lined up, I'm thinking, okay, now it's time for Outer Wilds.
I will stream Outer Wilds at some point.
Those are kind of pretty.
It took Karma,
Emily will be
like,
having a field day down
a
here.
year or so of me being like, you should play Outer Wilds, until she finally played Outer Wilds, and then she played it and she's like, this is fucking amazing. Like, yeah, I was telling you.
I know it's going to be good. I'll play it at some
My
point.
life's been a strange one. Certainly stranger than I'd like.
Well, there's no time like the present.
It's something else. The floors crawl, the walls slither. It's a shifting pit. On the street, it's just another drab building standing there for anyone to see. But no one does. How do we miss it? Northmore. Acting director in Northmore now is on a train from Washington. He'll expect answers, which is why I'm making these tapes. They're evidence that I'm at least trying to understand. Father searched his entire life for something like this, and we find it 1 week after he's buried. He always hated irony. Of course, Father, the great director, Ash, would have been the first man in. And look at me, his bookworm son, the supposed head of research who can't stop his legs from shaking long enough to step over the threshold.
Well, that was very expository. Thank you very much, Dr. Ash Jr. This is old. This is very old.
Seems that way. Also, I don't remember how long it took for me to play Outer Wilds after you told me to, Isa, because you probably were the reason I played it.
Yeah, but then you didn't play it for that long, so...
Yeah, it didn't work for me personally at that time, unfortunately, but I still think it's a really good game.
Oh yeah, you love the game, just didn't gel with playing it because of personal Robinness.
Yep.
Shapes. Research Site Delta.
The Foundation. Bottom of the oldest house. Stop the hiss.
Marshall? How was she on the hotline? Unless...
Oh.
She's dead. Jesus.
Well, that's not
She seemed
good.
like the kind of woman who could survive anything.
Ooh, that's bright.
I only heard of the Foundation when I became head of operations. The very bottom of the oldest house. Director access only. Just the name alone is classified. Zachariah gave me a tour the day I was promoted. Said I should see it for myself. To understand. After that, I snuck down on my own from time to time to keep tabs on the place. And on that. Nothing ever changed down there. Not even the walls. It's solid, permanent, different from the rest of the house. Of course, they were always watching me. I never stayed long. I'm not stupid. I have to stop the hiss from finding this place. I'm the only one who can.
Which is why you went directly to it. That's... I don't know, Marshall. That seems a little mistaken. If you didn't go here, they might not have found it.
Why is Marshall the same as Trench?
I mean, she might be dead, is Jesse's theory. Of course, we haven't encountered any hiss, so it's probably fine. And also, Trench was the person who knew about this place, and he was corrupted first, so... Well... Just the explodey guys.
This found their way down here too, huh?
So, easily handled. Kaboom. I do like how different this place looks from everywhere else in the game, though.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting so far.
Yeah, the red and white.
The thing is that we've encountered red sand before.
Yeah, but not
That
this
is
kind.
true.
Not this kind of sand, though. It was slightly different in like hue and texture. But you are right. We have encountered red sand before. very bright.
It carries implications to me.
It does. Sorry about the bright light, everyone. I literally cannot control this.
It's funny how things can feel extremely bright, like brighter than what your monitor should allow. Like, you make your monitor like a plain white screen, like as white as it'll go, as bright as it'll go, and yet it'll look so much less bright than like the sun shining through some rocks in a video game.
Yeah.
I think it's the contrast, probably.
Definitely. Also, another
I
treasure
don't know,
chest.
I assume it's just brains just reading it as like, oh shit, we have to shield our eyes now. This looks like a thing that'll dazzle us.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Another treasure chest that has been blocked off from me by spikes. Do not approve of this. I am the director. I should have access to the treasure chests.
You're a director, not a pirate captain.
Fair enough.
Those paintings look old.
Oh,
Like, old.
cave paintings. Cool. That... And there's a big old triangle up there.
Oh yeah, there sure is.
Triangles probably don't mean anything.
Cave paintings. At first, I thought the cave paintings in the Foundation chronicled ancient humans' encounters with natural occurrences like weather, but it soon became clear they depicted events far outside the average human experience. Also, it seems I was wrong to assume the images are ancient. Radiocarbon dating suggests something impossible, that I've been down here longer than the paintings. That's absurd, though. The style and medium clearly indicate a Paleolithic origin. I was ready to conclude that an ancient community of humans lived in or around the oldest house. Now, with this information, I don't know what to think. Is one of our agents drawing these, or is there someone down here with us? This place was a habit of skewing my results, or perhaps the data is corrupted. Perhaps some paintings were created at different times. The art does seem to chronicle not only the past, but also the present, and possibly even the future. I see in them echoes of the board, some linear architecture, even what could be interpreted as a director. Are the paintings telling a story that's still being written? If so, who's writing it? Thank you.
Alan Wake, stay tuned for the next DLC.
It's assuming some of the, like, very minor things that I have heard, you might be, like, 1000% correct.
I mean, that's sort of what he was about in Alan Wake, from what I remember.
Yeah, he was the guy who was writing the story, but, like, this is a different story. This is the story of Control. Alan Wake didn't write any of this.
A writer can write more than one story.
True. Oh no, we got guys that run at us and attack us with like weapons. That's the one enemy type that we did not have in this game.
It sounds so basic when you describe it like that it's strange that it wasn't there before.
Yeah. Ow!
Things.
Oh, they throw their axes at me as well. Rude. Whoa, they teleport as well. Good to know.
I guess they had to design DLC enemies with all of your powers and such in mind.
Yep.
The Hiss are using pickaxes now?
The Sharpened. Hiss Sharpened agents display the para-utilitarian ability to rapidly move short distances. This ability is unique in the fact that it's not associated with any known object of power. However, we should not discount the possibility that this ability is an object variation. For example, Abrupt Physical Relocation, APR, could potentially be a variant of the Jukebox's effects. One explanation of the Hish's sharpened abilities currently include momentary time manipulation, brief increase in physical speed, inhibiting the witness's sense of sight. If we do accept the Hish sharpened ability is not connected to a known object of power, then the Hiss are either manifesting unique paranatural abilities, or there are objects in the house that we aren't aware of. Either way, the Hiss are continuing to develop new strains of corruption, and that is a cause for concern. You know, that is a good point, Razir. A lot of the Bureau's weirdness might make sense if it was all a story being written by Alan Wake.
I feel like if you repeatedly use Alan Wake as the author of this story as an excuse for your storytelling, then you might have a problem.
At that point, you should stop saying it's Alan Wake who's a bad writer. It's Sam Lake who's a bad writer. I don't believe that. I think he's a good writer. I think he is flawed, like many writers often can be. End statement.
I'd probably have to see his writing again to actually make a statement on it.
Alan Wake maybe, but like Sam Lake is the like head director and writer of Max Payne and Alan Wake and Control. He's like the main guy.
Oh, I thought you were saying Alan Wake's writing was good.
Oh, I mean it's good sometimes. His writing is a little hacky.
Yeah.
Tom, you missed the good news. I'm sure the official memo will go out soon, but Northmore called in all hands at the crossroads to announce we are finally moving out of this hellhole and up into the house proper. Bureau Brass apparently solved the moving walls problem, or at least figured out a way to pinpoint where and when they'll happen. All I know is going up means goodbye darkness, goodbye weird lunches with that ex-Nazi scientist, and goodbye pissing in the pit. Northmore is ordering the Foundation sealed as soon as we can haul our stuff out and somehow convince Ash to come with us. He's the only one kicking up a fuss. This is long overdue. We've lost 11 men and damn near $10,000 in supplies moving between the entrance and the Foundation. And for what? Research? Ash is batty if he thinks we want to stay here and sift through more sand for him. It's just rusted iron flakes anyway. You know that? We were breathing that shit. Okay, so this is rust. That's concerning. How did it get here?
Also, that's a lot of it.
Yeah. Crossroads. This cave is, very...
Looks a little bit more organic
yeah,
than what we've been seeing.
A little shiny and crystalline.
Or that, I suppose.
Beware, toxic geysers. Don't mind if I do.
Oh, we've been breathing in spores all day. How much worse could it be?
I mean, Jesse has. But
well, yeah, I'm not seeing that the toxic geysers are going to spew out of our monitors.
You know, that's a good point. Why did I say that? That's just a bit. I can't make that.
At least you can back up.
Yeah. The flight is fairly generous.
That looks like a one-way path where you go backward.
Yeah.
Unless you get a flight upgrade or something.
Maybe. Foundation accident. From Mr. Talbot. M. Talbot. Mr. Wilder, I have some bad news. You remember that Robert Ricardo fella we brought in as a special consultant to map the lower caves? Well, today he found a chamber with weird eyes covering every inch of the walls and a strange black pillar in the center. Kinda looks like the one at the crossroads, but smaller. We had a bureau member shadowing him, but whatever happened in there did a number on our guest. The docs are taking a look at, but it's pretty clear Mr. Adventure's exploring days are done. I know we were careful to limit this guy's exposure to the non-ordinary. Drugging him and carrying him through the upper floors was a real hoot, by the way. But we really need to reevaluate our policies on external contractors. Honestly, we'd be better off forming a special division trained in repelling and orienteering than subjecting more outsiders to the shit we deal with. They almost always end up dead or loony. I'm glad that we are better about this, because the Rangers now exist, and they do this. That's messed up, though. Hey, more shapes that I can't deal with. Oh, hey! Paintings. Some kind of reverse pyramid. An inverted pyramid. Were there other...
I wonder what that would be.
Oh, and there is... Those aren't drawings. They're just marks on the wall.
So Mark's behind this.
God dang it. Hey,
The astral plane is cutting into our dimension. What if this happens in the upper
Is that
floors?
good?
It'll destroy the bureau.
No. This is in fact quite bad.
Hello, the astral plane.
Oh, they even have the guys. The astral copies. Oh, knock that boss enemy right off the edge. That works. Astral copy. With the astral plane now physically accessible, a torrent of new information has been collected on the entities known as astral copies. Copies' bodies are composed of a dense stone-like material that is both resilient under controlled circumstances and brittle when struck with significant force. Whether the astral copies possess individual consciousness or are directed by higher intelligence such as the board remains unknown. However, their shared aggression seems to indicate a unified goal. Director Faden's encounters with these entities when binding objects of power in the astral plane indicate they serve as live targets for potential para-utilitarians to practice on. Some have been equipped with Bureau weaponry, though it seems unlikely that they were armed by our personnel. It's important to note that they appear immune to Hiss corruption. Well, that's interesting.
When are these field research notes written, and by who?
I feel like a lot of them are, like, retroactive. Well, not retroactive, but, like, from the future. And,
Probably,
and all of them have been Emily Pope writing about
okay.
stuff we have encountered.
I wish I'd brought Emily with me. I could really use my head of research right about now.
What about your head of resolve? That was a joke just for me and was terrible.
It was for me too,
Marshall?
I know that.
Fair point. Oh,
Marshall! You're alive!
I can't see Marshall from there, but I'll believe that you saw her, Jesse.
Wait! It's Jesse! The director!
I have to be careful of running through here and missing some cool cave drawings.
Whoa.
Crossroads.
This place is huge.
Marshall? Can you hear me?
She was on the hotline, so that person couldn't have been Marshall, right? One problem at a time. Let's see what's going on with that pillar first.
Investigate the nail.
Hmm.
I will investigate our lab first, actually.
It's been 5 days since we first entered the building. Traversing the interior is dangerous due to the shifting, but we did manage to find a lower cavern that seems structurally predictable, which is a scientific way of saying its walls won't crush us in our sleep. Northmore even made a discovery. A pistol placed on a stone pedestal in front of that strange ebony pillar. Seems like something out of a storybook, except the heroes usually find swords, not handguns. But it is the perfect lure for someone like him. Hours after finding this weapon, Northmore cornered me to spout some nonsense about how the board had made him the director. He ranted about the title being meaningless before now, calling Father and all other previous directors shams, frauds, and worse. I think this place is worse for Northmore than it is for me. Strangest thing? There was no pedestal in front of that pillar a day ago. This building has swallowed a dozen of my men, and now it's handing out presents? Is it playing some sort of game? If it is, we're most certainly losing. Hell, we don't even know the rules.
Maybe the board is evil. Or
I mean, I've been saying this.
It's an eldritch
for ages.
It's an eldritch creature. It isn't necessarily good or evil by any definition that we can possibly mentally fathom.
No, I don't buy that. It always sounds silly to me.
Fair enough.
But
creepy.
It can definitely have its own interests.
Yeah. Also, hey, this looks familiar, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, there's the triangle that is the board and people, and then some kind of one-eyed, multi-armed figure. This is the former.
Oh, yeah, that fella.
Yeah. Neat.
But yeah, anyway, I feel like maybe Northmore should have, finding an alien intelligence and it gives you a gun and you're like, okay, I now pledge this entire organization to serve you, alien intelligence, is maybe not a smart thing to do.
No.
Maybe that's just completely defecting to a different side.
Yeah.
Even if it's a side that has your interests at heart, hypothetically, my god, that was a stupid thing to do.
Yup. For all my research into the oldest house's ley lines, I still don't understand why they converge here at the base of this pillar. I suppose the simplest reason is that they have to converge somewhere. Occam's razor and all that. That seems wrong. The esoteric world abhors coincidence. So what is a true relationship between this pillar and the ley lines? Does it act as a magnet, attracting them? Polar north? Or is the pillar a product of their focused energies? Sprout, nourished by the constant flow of the oldest house's power. Perhaps classifying that power would provide some insight. However, we currently have no means of measuring or quantifying it. Given time, it may become possible to collect and even harness this energy. On that note, Northmore is bringing in the much-lauded Dr. Gustav Wagner from headquarters in D.C. to aid my research. Suppose this is his way of saying he doesn't trust me to work unsupervised. Let's hope Dr. Wagner is as smart as his dearly departed Führer once believed him to be. The FBC got involved in Project Paperclip. That's awful. Foundation pillar. On the nature of the pillar. The pillar found in the crossroads is best described as an onyx spike that protrudes from the cave floor like an imposing stalagmite. Despite its aggressive silhouette, the structure has an undeniable allure. But I'm more drawn to Whitmore's essay on dynamic layers, structures within structures, the fractal mirror in every being. Given its significant location, I believe the pillar is either the very heart of the oldest house or an intrusion within that heart. Perhaps it's like the husk of a seed from which the oldest house sprouted. Trottier wrote that great architecture isn't built, it grows. Then why does the pillar look so different from the rest of this place's concrete walls and rocky caverns? It's easy to see it as an anomaly. I'm not going to read the rest of that. Moving on. Well, that's concerning.
So I can only choose one? I thought I was done.
Oh,
with
this is
these tests.
interesting.
Left self, right weapon. What
does that mean?
are these? Choose the astral plane challenge.
Is there... Okay, there is an indication of what they are.
Okay. Control those spikes, or...
Or get a revolver that can destroy those.
So we can either destroy the spikes, or deploy the spikes.
Oh, go on.
Neither of these seem altogether that interesting.
I'd go for the not weapon one.
Yeah, I would too.
I'd go for the weapon one.
Interesting.
We're just talking about how you shouldn't accept weapons from mysterious otherworldly entities, Robin.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about this more in gameplay mechanics terms, because I'm thinking the weapon could also help you in combat challenges if it's any good.
Left will grant shape and manipulate. Right will grant fracture, undo.
Because the enemies in this game are frequently one of the more difficult and or aggravating parts. Oh, it's like a
Robin's
shotgun?
correct, as always.
Yeah.
I'm not always correct.
I'm curious if it does anything other than just destroying those spikities.
I feel like it has to be usable in combat.
I mean,
because it's a gun version.
It was described as a weapon, not like an ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does chat feel about this? Starting the side on gun. Brazier has no opinion on these powers.
The I'm thinking gun because it solves more than one problem.
Yeah, let's do that.
If it even does.
If it's any good.
If it's any good.
Like it could be terrible.
Yeah, I'd still go for the left one personally, but I get it.
So they've upgraded the gun, they said.
Oh, it's not a new kind of gun? Well, never mind then.
No, it just allows it to do
the
that.
service weapon keeps becoming different kinds of guns. That's its whole deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
This
cool.
there could still be a combat application, like if you can break something on the ceiling to make it fall on someone or something like that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
or if they're standing on one of those, we can blow up the ground underneath them.
Mm-hmm.
That's always useful.
If this doesn't do anything to the gun's combat capability, I feel like this choice is not very good, just generally. not really super well communicated what these very niche upgrades are gonna be helpful for.
Yeah.
You need to collect for something.
Usually if you get on top of a level like this, you find a bunch of coins to reward you for being good at platform.
True. So what they're saying is that because of the damage to the nail, the astral plane is starting to bleed into the foundation, and we need to stop that, otherwise the entire building will be destroyed. And also the Hiss are here.
Mm-hmm. Also, you have to collect 4 objects to fix things.
Yeah.
Okay, it is showing that thing that you said.
Okay, that's acceptable.
Yeah, and like the variety of things you can destroy makes me a little bit more hopeful for this.
Yeah, this seems slightly more useful. And hey, maybe we will get Shatter, the Shape Power anyway.
I wonder what else that one could have even done. That one seems more limited generally.
I think probably like the opposite
that...
of what we're seeing here.
Okay,
I guess
the thing though, the gun ability to shatter crystals also only matters when there's crystals.
True.
Yeah. I was hoping that the gun upgrade would make enemies die faster or easier in some way, because it looked like it was a new kind of gun to me.
Okay.
That's
I mean,
fair.
the gun shapeshifts.
This broken
Yeah.
pillar is called.
But yeah,
the nail.
I didn't think it would be, but
something, and now the astral plane is bleeding into the foundation, which
not
will
like
destroy the
there's a
oldest
new
house,
risk and try.
the bureau, and
Yeah.
everyone inside.
I figured it was reasonable to
I
assume
need
the game would
find
give you a
full
new gun
logs
shape.
or keys or whatever to stop that from happening.
I
I'm the
agree.
Director. I've handled worse.
This
should be simple.
I do know that there is another
with
gun
me?
shape in the next DLC.
Ah.
Ah, it's shaped like an Alan Wake.
I mean, potentially. Wait, no, we
It's
already...
been 5 days since we first entered.
A new hotline about rituals. Understood. Have a nice day. Yeah, if we had taken the ability, we would be able to open this up to fly up there. So that's...
I assume that either choice, since it's one or the other, does not lock you out of anything important or particularly, like, well, just important, really.
I would presume so. Because there were some areas back here that we could destroy our way through. Like right this, in fact. So now we have one way to go.
This is the equivalent of Sonic Riders games having different types of characters that can use different parts of the racetrack to get a little shortcut, but every racetrack has every kind of shortcut, and they all go in the same direction anyway.
I saved the bureau once,
God,
and I'll do
basically.
it again.
One of them is even breaking obstacles.
Yeah, that's like the power one.
Yeah.
I've served under 2 directors. 3 now, I suppose. Trench and I worked our way up together. We made it through the tough cases, the bad days, the casualties. He was the epitome of a good agent. Smart, decisive, selfless. And he picked up that damn gun. Becoming director is a formal process overseen by the board. Lots of ritual and mystery. After that, key staff provide detailed briefs on all classified matters, past and present. But with Faden, well, there's no protocol for field promotion. The girl's smart, has a good head on her shoulders. I'm trusting her to handle the hiss upstairs, while I hold them off here. All this shit with the nail, the board, I'm not sure she's ready. Besides, I work better alone.
Ma'am, no. In an organization like this, I work better alone means I would like to die, please.
Excuse me.
Yes?
There is an exception, and that's for the main character.
Fair enough. That is true. I am pretty exceptional.
You have protagonist privileges.
Hooray! Ah!
I'm in the astral plane.
Surprise,
Worse
I
and
guess.
worse.
Yup. Oopsies.
The game has successfully jump scared you.
Yeah. Oh, does that just let me leave? I could just leave. Hey, back in.
Jesse's all, I want to do that again.
Astral collision.
That's the cave sand. Looks like the astral bleed goes both ways.
Oh, instead of energy cubes and like energy places, we instead have gold cubes that we put into the spot, the spot where it's supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's only pyrite.
Where everything. Dear Science, there's a person in my pet salamander. He has human eyes. Why doesn't anyone else see him? I think it's like werewolves, but with every animal. Were-dogs, were-cats, were-otters, were-butterflies, were-everything. There are people inside and they can't get out. They're stuck in the animal body. It's not all animals, but it can be any animal. My parents don't believe me. Maybe this has happened before. Thought you would know. Sincerely, Jean Lemaine. Okay, new dead letters. I was not expecting that.
What mailing address do you use for science, anyway?
I'm not sure.
Also, I will say, with regard to like the upgrade choices, that it does seem, at the very least, probably more satisfying to explode things than to make spikes appear out of a wall.
This is true, especially if the spikes don't have like damaging effects. It is more exciting to blow things up, or to make spikes kill enemies. Also, hey, the astral constructs are in fact fighting the hiss. That's good. Also, each time I destroy one of these crystals, I am getting points for an achievement called Make/Unmake. So I'm pretty sure that we are not going to be getting the power, because otherwise it probably would have been separated, achievement-wise.
It's speaking like the board. So.
It is, which is clever. I like that.
It could be... That could go either way, really. I could see that being for, like, use DLC powers this many times, or break stuff this many times, because I think the board would probably say make/unmake about this in some way.
True.
You're making a path for yourself while unmaking the obstacle.
Yeah. That does make perfect sense when you put it that way. Why are you aiming at that? That was a thing I could put it in? Oh, that's... I see.
There's some sort of astral bathroom stall here.
Ah! Jesse, why did you land on that tiny little cube? Why did you do this to me, Jesse? Oh, right. I don't immediately die because this is the astral plane. You're allowed to just fall into nothingness. You'll unfall. It's fine. Space is warped and time is bendable.
If you step off the cube, you will fall / unfall. A warning from the director. So from the board.
That works.
Do you know if any of the materials or mods that you're collecting are new to the DLC?
Some of them are new. I do know that the DLC each have their own set of like mods that you can get.
Makes sense.
So some of these might be useful.
Like me.
I mean, you're always useful.
And I'm a mod.
True. You're not a DLC mod. You're a regular mod.
Reminder.
I am undownloadable.
Have windows. If you notice a window, immediately close your eyes and make your way to the nearest safe room. You are permitted to fashion a blindfold from an article of clothing. Any resulting lapse in dress code will be excused. Thank you for your attention.
That's definitely one of the more normal ones of these we've heard.
That reminds me that I'm not a mod on this channel.
I should make you a mod on this channel. Cleanse the control.
I never remember how to use the Twitch modding tools, but yeah.
Me either.
That is entirely fine.
It always takes me a while to find the button to type them to ban or something.
I just always have them on so that I can very quickly like click the little buttons next to the people's names.
You can do that?
Yeah.
I didn't know you can do that.
You
I
can.
don't want to go into mod view. There's too much information. My screen isn't big enough.
I mean, it's not even mod view. It just is like briefly activating. Like maybe I am. Well, it's not mod view. I know that much. It just is like I can see next to Razir's name all the buttons that I can press to influence things, which is just like timeout, ban, and delete comments.
I need to know how to do that.
I will look into it when stream is over. I don't remember.
So I can
how
actually
did
ban the bots that are like, cool, new followers on getscammed.internet.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, getscammed.internet. I love that website.
Well then,
What?
see where it says in the chat where it says send a message, and if you click on it, you can type a message.
Yeah.
Under that, there's a cog called chat settings.
Yeah.
Click on that. The very top option, show mod icon.
Right, that's it.
That option is not there for me.
What?
Because I'm not
You're
a mod.
Oh, right. You're not a mod. Right.
It took me a second to like remember that second part.
Aha! I killed an enemy
I'm
by
far
using
too
the
used.
environment.
I am far too used to a technological problem being unsolvable because the solution requires me to press a button that doesn't exist. So
Entirely fair. I've had that happen when we were trying to organize the actual like overlaying for Art and Elico, where it turns out I hadn't updated I had updated the PlayStation emulator. It's just that QWERTY was using the experimental upgraded version that allowed for use of mod tools and stuff.
God, right, there's an OBS Studio update I delayed.
I don't update OBS.
I tend to update things because I'm usually of the mindset that it's going to happen eventually, so I should get used to it now.
Entirely fair.
Like whether or not the update is majorly different in any way. But I do expect this to break something.
Yeah. Oh, flying guys.
Okay, I found the show mod icons for my own chat room.
Okay. Yep.
Hooray!
Mind
The OBS
control.
update appears